Human rights.
There is an internal struggle. It's not only in politics and boundaries and settlements. It's about the soul of Israel and perhaps even about the meaning of our cultural and spiritual heritage.
Civil rights.
There's an enormous amount of work to be done in order to inculcate democratic principles.
Religious freedom.
We have to create a joint language, which is a Jewish language in its most pluralistic form.
Social justice.
A strong society is also a moral society, especially in times of terror and security concerns. We don't forget about those who are less fortunate, who are disempowered.
For more than 25 years, the New Israel Fund has been the protector, the defender, the advocate of fundamental rights for all of Israel's citizens.
The New Israel Fund is constantly on the cutting edge of social developments, constantly aware of what new needs there are and how those new needs demand new responses.
Contrary to Israel's founding principles, too many citizens live lives of poverty and discrimination. NIF empowers all Israelis to defend their rights, and through collective action is strengthening democracy by providing support and training to hundreds of social change organizations fighting for a more just society.
Everything that enhances tolerance, civil rights, the recognition of rights of minorities has a direct implication on the efforts for peace, because the opposite of tolerance, open-mindedness, and a pluralism is always and everywhere fanaticism, fundamentalism, and extremism.
הייתה עובדת קהילתית של האזור הזה שעזבה, וכשהיא בעוד חודש.
Advocating for human rights and social justice begins with awareness. One of NIF's grantees, the Community Advocacy Program, or CAP, helps citizens on the bottom rungs of society realize that they too have rights.
Our experience has been that when you talk about human rights, people in poor neighborhoods think that only other people have rights.
Whether the issue is substandard housing or inferior health care, CAP helps citizens exercise their legal rights.
We emphasize the process of empowerment because we believe that people should know how to claim their rights by themselves. That's how they will be more independent and strong in the society.
When existing law doesn't protect citizens' rights, CAP organizes community lobbying groups to change the law. In this case, to win better protection for public housing tenants in Jerusalem.
People in this community never believe that they can impact upon policy. And one of the things that we're saying to them is you have a voice, you don't need somebody to do it for you.
Sometimes, the fight for social justice leads all the way to Israel's highest court. NIF's key partner in the protection of human and civil rights is ACRI, the Association for Civil Rights in Israel. One of ACRI's major assets are the graduates of the Israel Civil Liberties Law Fellows program. These former law fellows are the backbone of the civil rights bar in Israel.
The New Israel Fund laid the foundations of Israeli civic society. But its most important contribution is by bringing the voice of the weaker parts of the Israeli society to the gates of the parliament, the Supreme Court, the government.
struggle for human rights in Israel has many faces. Sometimes Arab citizens and other minorities suffer the most severe discrimination. In the Negev desert, Israel's Bedouin citizens live on the margin of a prosperous society. 60% of the Bedouin live below the poverty line, and nearly 2/3 of those are children. Many Bedouin live in unrecognized villages, lacking the most basic public services. Under NIF's leadership, Jewish and Arab citizens are working together to help the Bedouin in their struggle for better living conditions.
We believe that more and more Jews and Arabs are joining our projects, joining our work together. And this is giving us hope that someday will be better in this country for both people.
Within the Bedouins' quest for human rights is a compelling story of women's rights, a key component of NIF's mission.
They're living in a very bad conditions. They don't have the basic things they need, like electricity and water. In order to fight for their rights, they need to know, first of all, what their rights are.
But with the help of NIF's organizational consulting arm, Shatil, a project called the Bedouin Women's Empowerment Program promotes personal development and economic self-sufficiency.
They come back to their villages or to other villages and help another woman to get empowerment, self-empowerment and also economic empowerment, and help other women get skills for doing something for themselves.
Through the Bedouin Women's Empowerment Program, these women are taking the first steps towards full membership in Israeli society. NIF believes that a stronger Israel is a more tolerant and more inclusive Israel, especially for new immigrants. Currently, the system rigidly defines who is a Jew, dividing hundreds of thousands from the mainstream. These strictures have a profound effect on daily life, even death. Soldiers can give their lives for their country, but be refused burial in a Jewish cemetery.
If we want a truly vibrant Judaism in this country, it's very important that Israelis, the average Israeli, perceives Judaism not as something which is of sole interest to the Orthodox establishment, quite the contrary, but that Judaism is a practicing, living form.
With no previous Jewish identity, these immigrants from the former Soviet Union are often rejected and alienated by Israel's religious establishment. But an NIF grantee called Esh David has begun to widen the circle of acceptance. Through religious services and educational programs, Esh David has created a viable alternative, kindling the flame of a more inclusive Judaism in Israel.
The question is, how can you build up more pluralism? And you can only do that through civil society. Through civil society is where the New Israel Fund comes in. We have to be inclusive. That is the principle.
NIF grantees like these are among the hundreds of grassroots organizations on the front lines of social change. With the help of donors throughout the worldwide Jewish community, NIF will continue to transform Jewish values into social action and fight for the fundamental rights on which Israel's future depends.
The New Israel Fund is unique in what it perceives as being needed by Israel, which is not just funding, but real involvement on the part of the diaspora in what's happening in Israel and helping Israeli citizens to help themselves.
To be Jewish is to be in opposition. To be Jewish is to talk truth to power. And that's what the New Israel Fund is doing and is helping some of us to do also.
I regard the involvement of the Jewish community through the New Israel Fund in the internal struggle over the soul and heart of Israel as a family contribution.
The values of social change, social justice, together with the concept of Tikkun Olam, has been central to the fund from its very inception. And it's been those values that has allowed us to be in the vanguard of the creation not only of a movement for social change, but a movement for social transformation in Israel.
Being part of this process is a huge privilege. It's like, in a way, recreating the world.
In these troubled times, when cries of anger echo and hope is dim, NIF is a beacon of light, showing us a glimpse of the Israel we can build together.
וניגע אל החלום